Goal Getting Podcast, episode 13.
A lot of people these days are actually cutting back on the amount of blogging they do on their website in favor of publishing on LinkedIn.
It's time for Goal Getting Podcast, and I'm your host, Tony Woodall. Welcome back, and I'm sorry, please ignore this for a moment. I always do. Just don't pay him any attention. It's just my subconscious mind. Do you hear those nagging thoughts and limiting beliefs when you're working on your goals? Is your subconscious mind trying to sabotage your success? Do you want to change those limiting beliefs and negative goal-sucking thoughts from your mind? Well, don't let your mind play goalie for the other team. Get the goals you set. Goal Getting Podcast teaches you how to turn those negative, limiting beliefs in your subconscious mind into positive, goal-setting, goal-getting, success-thinking beliefs with the goal-getting, don't just set 'em, get 'em program. Kick the crap to the curb and get your mind playing for your team. Let's listen to this week's episode and get the goals you set. Hello, Goal Getters. This is Tony Woodall, your host with Goal Getting Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here visiting today, and I want to thank you for being a listener and for coming back over and over again and listening to what we have to say. Our goal is to help you achieve and get the goals that you set. If you're a business owner and you have a goal to improve your marketing on LinkedIn, if that's one of the platforms that you're interested in pursuing, I have a guest that you need to listen to. Josh Turner is here. He's an expert with LinkedIn marketing. He's got a new book out that he's going to give away for free today. He's also got a program that you can take online training for LinkedIn marketing. He's got some great ideas and a lot of experience, and I want to turn the show over so that we can really get started to help you get the goals you set in marketing on LinkedIn. Good afternoon, goal getters. This is Tony Woodall. I'm here today with Josh Turner. Josh is the founder of Linked Selling, a B2B marketing firm specialized in fully outsourced LinkedIn lead generation campaigns. His company represents clients like Neil Patel and Microsoft, to name a couple, in the U.S., Canada, United Kingdom, Asia, and Australia, in a wide variety of industries. Josh's company also operates LinkedUniversity.com, an online training program for LinkedIn marketing. He has been featured in the Huffington Post, Miami Herald, and many more national publications. Josh, welcome to the show, and we're here to talk to the Goal Getter Nation and tell them about some of the opportunities that are out there with LinkedIn. And
absolutely, man. Well, I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you having me, Tony.
Thank you so much. And, I've, been on LinkedIn since 2004, 2005, I guess almost close to when it started. I saw an opportunity. I had started working in sales as a loan officer in 2006, and I just knew that this was going to be, a great tool for business users for marketing and, professional network. And I just thought it was great. Didn't know how to necessarily use it for my business at the time, and it's nice that folks come along that can share some of that information. So tell me a little bit about what you do and how you came to do what you do.
Absolutely, man. So we really have two sides to our business. There's Linked Selling, which is our agency for companies that hire us to run lead generation campaigns for them within LinkedIn. And then we have Linked University, which is our training program for businesses and people that want to learn how to do it themselves. And it's essentially our operations manual for our teams. Like whenever we bring on new account managers, they go through Linked University to learn how to do what we do. And so that's, for the most part, that's our business. We help B2B companies generate leads using LinkedIn, and our goal is to be the number one company in the world when it comes to helping you grow your business using LinkedIn, man. And how we got to this point is, a bit of a long story. I'll try and make it brief, though. I started using LinkedIn in 2006, and at the time, I was member number 6 million and change, which is pretty early on. LinkedIn now has over 360-something million members, right? It's been growing just rapidly as of late. But at the time, I was using LinkedIn back in '06 for the company I worked for, which is a construction and manufacturing company. I was using LinkedIn for business development for that company and just for kind of building up my personal Rolodex, if you will. And fast forward to 2009, that company unfortunately was hit really hard by the downturn in the economy and was forced to shut its doors. And so I was then faced with the decision: do I want to go work for somebody else and go look for another job, or do I, is it time to start my own thing? And I'd really been itching to go out on my own and, build my own business for some time, and figured what better time than now to give it a shot. And so I did. And in early 2010, I started a company called Gateway CFO Solutions. And I was working as essentially a freelance or outsourced CFO for small businesses here in my hometown of St. Louis, in the middle of the United States. And, for the first year or so, I was able to successfully grow that business, and LinkedIn was one of the reasons why. And by 2011, a couple of my clients started taking notice and said, "Hey, Josh, what are these things that you're doing on LinkedIn, and do you think they would work for our business?" So I helped one of those companies design a plan for how they could use LinkedIn to get in front of more prospects and generate leads and sales. And they said, "Wow, that really sounds like it would work, but we don't have a clue what you're talking about. How about you just do it for us?" Mm-hmm. And so that was really the birth of linked selling. And at the time, I actually, because, I'm a big fan of staying focused. And, I don't, we, like right now, our business is totally focused on LinkedIn. We don't try and do all things for all people. No Facebook. We don't do other social media stuff. And so back then in 2011, when I was doing the finance work for businesses here in town, my initial reaction when this client asked me to run this LinkedIn campaign for them was to go look for another company that I could refer them to. And I couldn't find anybody that knew what they were doing when it came to LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, let's do it. And I built linkedselling.com and thought, hey, maybe there's some other companies out there that would be interested in these services too. And it turns out that's the case. The business has since exploded, and we have clients, as you mentioned, all over the world in all sorts of industries. We have tens of thousands of people have been through our trainings, and we've built a pretty good sized business. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, that sounds great. It's very exciting. I've been studying social media marketing for the last year or so. I took a class last year on social media marketing strategy, and they were talking about LinkedIn as being one of the best but the best tools out there to be able to put out good content. And I think at the time they had just started releasing their publishing platform where you could actually, I think they only allowed certain people to start with to publish, and now it's opened up pretty much to everybody. Yep. What do you think about that as a way for businesses to do marketing on LinkedIn or using that tool? And what are some of the things that small businesses and entrepreneurs can actually use LinkedIn for in their business?
So let me take those two questions one at a time. The LinkedIn's publishing platform, where you can write long form articles, is a huge opportunity. There's a ton that you can do with it. It's really very in depth. A lot of people these days are actually cutting back on the amount of blogging they do on their website in favor of publishing on LinkedIn. One of the key benefits, now LinkedIn just rolled out functionality that when you write an article, anybody that likes it or shares it or comments, well, obviously if somebody comments on it, you know who they are, but anyone that likes or shares your article, you as the author of that article have data behind the scenes that tells you who those people are. So from a business development standpoint, that's very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a ton you can do with it. There's some folks out there that have really figured out the system to using LinkedIn's platform to get tens of thousands of views every time they publish an article, which is for most of us difficult to achieve on your normal blog. So a ton of potential with that. How businesses should be using LinkedIn and what they can use it for to help them grow their businesses is a very wide-ranging type of question. There are a lot of different ways that you can utilize LinkedIn to grow your business, whether it's directly connecting with prospects and working them through campaigns to drive them deeper into your funnel, whether that's to get you on the phone with them or to move them towards a meeting with somebody on your sales team. But that's one type of approach. You can utilize LinkedIn to build authority in your space and to position yourself as a thought leader. Engaging in conversations in LinkedIn groups is a great way to do that. There's a lot of ways you can distribute your content within LinkedIn groups. There's a lot of ways that you can generate leads with things like webinars, white papers, and free reports and lead magnets and whatnot. There's a lot of ways you can use LinkedIn's advertising platform to get your, whatever content you've got or offers in front of highly targeted sets of prospects. At the end of the day, if you're a business and you target other businesses or people in general, really, there's a litany of different ways that you can use LinkedIn to market your business and to generate sales.
Getting away from LinkedIn real quick, just a short one. Do you have a quote that kind of hangs on your wall or a quote that you live by?
Yeah, I mean, this is one that I was told to me by a mentor that I had some years ago. And what he always told me was, it's a whole life. It's a whole life. And what he meant by that is that you can't just focus on this business stuff. If you don't take care of your health, if you're not eating right, if you're not going to the gym, if you're not spending time with your family, if you're not spending time with your friends, if you're not pursuing other interests, you can't just be consumed by your business 100% of the time. And if you are, then eventually, your business will start to suffer. And I mean, I try and live by that every day.
Uh-huh.
You won't see me many days working from 6 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night. I try and keep my work-life balance pretty well in balance so that I do have time to spend with my family. I am taking time to work out almost every day, to eat right, all those kinds of things, to read books and not just business books, and to pursue other interests and play guitar and things like that, And I think all those things, the more well-rounded you can be and the more interests you have and the more balance you have, I think all that stuff actually helps your business.
Right. Excellent. No, it's very important, understanding your why for your business or for your career or anything in life, any goal that you set. We try to teach that, knowing your why is very important. And in that respect, with that quote, that brings that out a lot, to, understand that. What do you have a why for what you're doing for your goal that you have now, or?
Well, we're trying to position our business as the number one company in the world when it comes to growing your business using LinkedIn. And in certain circles, there are people who think that we're there. I know there are still folks out there that maybe haven't heard of us yet, so we still have a lot of work to do, but we're trying to be the best in the world at what we do. And right now, that's the big why that drives me forward every day.
And what was one of the things that you wanted to be when you grew up? Did you have a certain goal that you wanted to be?
Like when I was little?
Yes.
Yeah, for a long time, I wanted to be a history teacher.
Uh-huh.
I mean, when I was real little, I wanted to be a professional soccer player.
Yeah.
But then, as I got a little older and started thinking more practically, history teacher was one that I kind of grasped onto, and I thought about being a history teacher for years.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't until a little bit later in high school that I gravitated towards engineering, which led me into finance,
uh-huh.
which is how I ended up becoming the CFO of the construction company that I worked for 6 years. And that experience led me to start the business working as an outsourced CFO, which, because of the marketing I was doing, ended up transitioning into the company that we have now. So it's kind of crazy how things work out like that. But yeah, when I was little, history teacher.
Yeah, that does sound interesting. You go from CFO, finance, engineer into marketing. That I can certainly empathize with that, and because my career has been kind of like that in some respects. So
sure.
It's you do what you enjoy doing and go from there. Now, have you had a big failure in your life, or what you would consider a big failure, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so for me, the biggest failure would be when the company that I worked for prior to starting my business failed and was forced to shut its doors in November of 2009.
Mm-hmm.
That was a company that, even though I was not technically an owner of, I was working my ass off. I was all in with that business, like totally invested in the future of that company and my being a part of it. Because when you're at a really senior level in a small business like that, you got to be. You're not just clocking in and out. And so when I first started there, we were doing $5 million a year in revenue. Within 4 years, we were doing $23 million in revenue, and I was working a ton of hours and putting a lot into it, and was a big part of why the company had got to that point. And And so then when we went from that point to next to nothing and had to shut our doors in such a short amount of time after just getting beat up by the economy, that was a pretty tough hit to take.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the lessons that I learned from it were, many, but the two biggest ones were focus and cash flow. You can never have enough cash in the bank. And that rainy day is coming. It's only a matter of when, not if,
Mm-hmm.
and so many businesses that are just, hand to mouth every week trying to figure out how to meet their payroll. They're just not positioned to be able to sustain a downturn.
Right.
Yep. And so I'm obsessed about every single month we have to be putting more cash in the bank as a result of going through that experience. And the other one is focus, and that if you become unfocused, if you try and do too many things, it can really damage your core business. And that's one of the reasons that company ultimately went under.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've taken that lesson with me along the way too.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, I can certainly feel that. I had a similar situation working in a mortgage company about the same time, and and it going under, and being an active part in that and taking ownership. So I totally understand that. And a lot of our listeners are that way. They've worked hard at jobs and want to do their own thing, and sometimes have situations like you had where you lost that particular opportunity, and now you have to decide, what am I going to do next? And so I'm excited that you've been through that kind of, not that you've been through that opportunity. I'm certainly not excited you had to go through it, but you pulled through and stuff from that. So that's exciting. Now, did you have any motivation or books or anything that you read through your life that allows you to get through that, or something that you would recommend to users that are going through that sort of a situation? By users, I mean listeners.
During that time, I was reading a lot of philosophy and books on Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think maybe some of those things were helpful, and because the more you get into Buddhist teachings and a lot of the philosophical stuff out there, you become to have a mindset of that things are the way that they should be and are to be, and it is what it is. It's as people like to say these days, it's very much kind of what those teachings impart. And so I don't know if I had a specific one that really helped me get through it, but I think some of that was helpful through some tough times, just to have the right kind of frame of mind to be able to just keep moving forward and not become depressed and really handcuffed by those tough times. And then growing the business since then. Oh boy, some of the books that have been helpful for us. I really like Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. I read a lot of books. I don't read a lot of them cover to cover, though. I'll pick up books, I'll breeze through them and try and pull out a couple good things and then move on. Tony Robbins' new book I really like a lot, Money, Master the Game. There's a lot of really good stuff in there from a personal financial standpoint, not really as much from a business perspective, but it's, I think, one everybody should check out, because everybody needs to worry about their, personal finances and whatnot. But yeah, I think, reading's a big thing, because you got to be able to get, different perspectives. Another book that kind of catapulted me into doing a lot of this stuff online in general was one of Gary Vaynerchuk's first books, or it was his first book, called Crush It, which, if you read that book now, you kind of think, that's nothing special being said here. But back in 2008 or 2009 or whenever it came out, it was really inspiring for me as somebody who was, still working for somebody else and didn't know much about this online world. Even though I built my first e-commerce website back in like 1996 or 97 or something like that. So it's not like I didn't know about the internet.
Right.
I'd been building websites for like 10 years or 15 years prior to reading Gary Vaynerchuk's book. But it's the concepts that he distilled for how marketing is changing with this new online model. That's what really kind of grabbed my attention with that one.
Gotcha. And that's, I think, very important these days with online. The marketing is going online. Every time I read something in the news, it's talking about how mobile and internet is taking over marketing. I used to own a daily or a weekly newspaper that I sold ads for and everything. And, I don't know that people read the paper. I get the newspaper every week and throw it away, or I don't throw it away. I put it in the recycling bin without even taking it out of the plastic. So I think online is going where it's at now. How can, an entrepreneur that's, starting a business or wanting their business to grow use online, such as webinars? You mentioned webinars briefly there. I'm actually looking at that as an option as well. And how can they use LinkedIn and webinars for their marketing efforts to help grow their business?
Absolutely, man. That's, webinars have been one of the keys to my business's growth, just to put it simply. And we generate, at this point, thousands of people every month sign up for our webinars. And so really what it comes down to is that if you've got something to say, if you've got some sort of a subject matter expertise, then, you should be doing webinars, because they're just a fantastic platform to present your expertise and build trust and authority and educate your market. And they can also obviously be used as great lead generating tools, right? Because people have to sign up and give you their name and email if you host the webinar. And then from there, you've got them in your funnel to then market to them on an ongoing basis. And depending on how you structure it, potentially to sell them something right then and there on the webinar, and depending on what type of business you have, you can go in different directions with how to structure a webinar and how you want to then generate sales off of webinars. But webinars are super powerful. And, if you have a webinar that's working well for you, there are a ton of ways that you can utilize LinkedIn to drive really targeted prospects to your webinars, via a lot of different methods, whether it's direct outreach, LinkedIn ads, lots of different ways you can do it.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. Like I said, I can't tell you the number of webinars I attend on a monthly basis. To me, it's such an easy way to learn different things that I want to learn, is by taking online courses or webinars, things like that. So
sure,
I think I would agree that it's a very powerful tool that's available to entrepreneurs today. Now, we are a goal-getting podcast, and I wanted to go into goals and some of your top goals you have this year. What's your top goal that you're working on this year?
Top goal this year? Well, my book that's coming out on June 15th is called Connect, and releasing that book and making a big splash with it and getting on the bestseller list is probably the biggest. Oh, that's it. That's one of the big goals that we're working on. So we're doing a lot. We're talking with a lot of people like yourself, Tony. I'm working hard to spread the word, and it's really exciting for us. This book is something that we've been working on. I've been working on it for about 18 months. And it really is the playbook for how we've grown our business and really tripled our business every year for the last 3 years. And it is the playbook for how we've helped our clients generate millions in revenue over the same period. And we've been, keeping this system really close to the vest for the last several years. But now we're really in a position where it's, it's time to get it out to the rest of the world. So I'm really excited about it. I know it's going to help a ton of businesses. And so, that's one goal that I'm just super focused on right now.
Oh, that's great. And so there's going to be released June 15th. That's the date you have currently?
That's when it's coming out. Absolutely.
Okay. So if our listeners wanted to get a copy of that book, how would they go out about getting a copy of that book?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, Tony, we can set up a special link just for your listeners at theconnectbook.com/goal. So again, that's theconnectbook.com/goal. And if you go to that link, you'll not only be able to get a free copy of the book, but you'll also be able to get access to a LinkedIn course that's normally $197. But if you get Connect during the pre-order launch right now, before June 15th, then you'll also get access to that LinkedIn course 100% for free. So maybe I'll share a little bit more about the book.
Okay,
for
please
people
do.
who are
Yeah.
wondering if that's, if it's something that they want to pick up or not. And really, like I mentioned, this book is the playbook my company's used to triple our revenue every year for the last 3 years, and that we've used for our private clients to generate millions of additional revenue for them. And it started out of a frustration that I had when I was working for myself in 2010 as a freelance CFO for small businesses here in St. Louis. And like a lot of other solopreneurs, when I first was getting started, I was having a lot of coffees and lunches and going to networking events and whatnot. And I just found that most of that time was unproductive because the people I was meeting with, they weren't my prospects most of the time, and because it simply wasn't scalable. And it's pretty much impossible to have enough networking coffee meetings and do the actual client work and continue to keep enough quality leads coming in the door to grow the business. The numbers, they just don't add up.
Mm-hmm.
But the relationship capital that you gain through face-to-face meetings is hard to replace. So what I figured out how to do was utilize LinkedIn to design a system that would allow me to connect with and position myself and my business as an authority in front of thousands of prospects on LinkedIn, then to filter those prospects down to only the most high-value, important prospects, and then work those people through a systematic relationship-building process that would culminate in a request for a meeting. Now, it's taken us a few years to really perfect this system, but now we're there. And what we see is that utilizing this system, 29% of prospects that are worked through the process will agree to a phone call or a meeting with you or somebody on your sales team. Or you can use this process to move them toward other offers like webinars, free reports, lead magnets, and whatnot. And so, again, I would just highly encourage anybody that's looking to grow their business and is looking for a system to generate a consistent flow of leads. I would highly recommend you go pick up a copy of the book. Again, the link is theconnectbook.com/goal. You can get a free copy of the book as well as access to our LinkedIn course 100% free. So, with that, I would say go check it out.
Excellent. That sounds great. I appreciate you connecting our audience with your book and that free webinar. That'd be great. As I said, I'm looking to find out more about webinars and doing that, so I'll probably sign up for that myself just so I can learn a little bit more. Any other words of wisdom that you might have for our audience that are trying to reach goals as an entrepreneur with marketing, whether it be LinkedIn? What types of, I got a quick question on that. What type of businesses are good candidates for using LinkedIn to market? Is there a specific business that would be good, or is that pretty much everybody?
Any business that's B2B is a slam dunk. So if you're a business that sells to other businesses, then you should definitely be using LinkedIn. And then, well, if you're business to consumer, it depends. So if you have a product and you're selling, let's say you manufacture dog collars. You're not going to go on LinkedIn and try and sell a single dog collar to somebody on LinkedIn, but you might use LinkedIn to reach out to people in the press, to get featured by bloggers, on podcasts, on, even traditional media like TV and radio. Because all of those journalists and whatnot, all of those people are on LinkedIn and can be reached. So it's a great way for B2C companies to utilize press, but also you can use it to find distributors, wholesalers, potentially even retailers or buyers that work for retailers. So there's a lot of applications almost no matter what business you're in. And, even B2C companies, like let's say you have a personal improvement product targeted at, women within a certain age range. Well, those people can be found on LinkedIn, and there's a lot of different ways to approach them. So even for some B2C companies, there are a lot of different ways that LinkedIn can be utilized. And as for your first question about goals, the big thing for me with goals is just break it down into actionable steps. So you take this big, hairy goal, and if you just put on your to-do list, do this big, hairy thing, it sometimes it's just not going to get done. It's just too much.
Absolutely.
You got to break it down into actionable steps, So, our book launch, for example, our goal is to sell 5,000 copies of the book by June 15th. And, that's just not a to-do list item. We have it broken down into, 30 or 40 other action items or strategies / tactics that we're going to be using to try and achieve that bigger goal. So that's kind of how we look at it.
Right. And that's what we teach at the Goal Getting podcast as well, how to set those action steps and how to do that, because we agree that it's just not always easy to think about it when you have one hairy, audacious goal. You have to break it down into the action steps to be able to get there. So that's excellent. I appreciate you sharing that, because that's in line with what we teach. So very good. Well, Josh, I appreciate your time today, and it's been very enlightening. I'm looking forward to finding out more about your book, reading it, and getting the information out there to our listeners. One more time, folks, if you go to the connectbook.com/goal, you'll be able to connect with that and get a free copy of the book and access to a webinar. What's the webinar again, Josh?
It's actually a complete LinkedIn course. It's called Your LinkedIn Marketing Master Plan, and it's a step-by-step course to help you start generating leads via LinkedIn by the end of next week. And it's normally $197, but if you get in on the pre-order for my book, Connect, you get it for free.
Oh, wow. Thank you. All right. I appreciate your time. And folks, we, if you're out there and you're starting a business or have a business that you're trying to grow, LinkedIn is a great opportunity, especially if you're B2B. Josh has given us some great value bombs out here today, and appreciate you coming out with us today, Josh. And I wish you great success in your book launch, and we'll see if we can't help you reach that goal.
Well, I appreciate that, Tony, and I appreciate you having me on. It's been great chatting with you, and I'll look forward to doing it again soon.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Josh, for sharing this great information. Well, Goal Getter Nation, Josh has offered us several key tips about LinkedIn, a free book with their secret formula for LinkedIn success, and a free LinkedIn course. I will have a link to their sign-up website on our show notes, or you can go to goalgettingpodcast.com/connect to connect to their site. You will also find information about Josh and links to Linked Selling and Linked University on the show notes. So have a great day. We appreciate you listening. You mean a lot to us, and come back and see us next week. If you like what you're hearing, if you enjoyed having these interviews, please go to the comments on our show notes. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. Are these the kind of interviews that you'd like to keep hearing so that we can invite more people? I want to give you a taste of some interviews. I've got a few more that I'm trying to line up, and if you like them, we'll continue to do those for you. But I need to know in the comments section on our show notes. Let me know. Just, keep in touch with us. You can also email me at tony@goalgettingpodcast.com. I'd be happy to listen to what you have to say there. Have a great day. If we can help you get the goals you set, let us know and keep listening. Have a great day.